Hello everyone, welcome to Joy TCG, where it's Final Fantasy TCG all the time. Now, I was at the Reraise tournament in Florida last week, and I ran into a couple of rulings that I was surprised by, but that's probably just because I am not experienced in the game as much. I've only been playing for less than a year, but I wanted to show you the situations I ran into so that you can understand the rulings as well. So, this is one of them. I was playing a title game on day 2 because I didn't make the top 16 cut because my Guardians only finished me in 24th place, but I was still really impressed with that finish. But anyway, the situation here is we've got Barrett on the field, which doesn't take damage less than his power. Now Golbez is played to the field, and I had damage 6, which I'm trying to recreate this. I forgot to put that out. I'm at damage 6, so I play Golbez and hit the damage 6 ability, which I know is rare, but it really worked out well, of course. But so I used his ability to search for the 4 Archfiends and play them all to the field. Now, as you may be aware, they all have their own kind of abilities, not necessarily come to the field abilities, but so what I did is I played all the Archfiends. Let me get you a little bit closer here. Well, that's probably not going to work. So Cagnazzo just gets water counters when someone else comes to the field. So he ends up with 3 water counters, which can lower something's power by 8,000, which I should have used, but I didn't because I didn't realize that this other ruling was not going to work. Scarmiglione says when he enters the field, choose a forward, and during this turn, if it is dealt damage, double the damage instead. So I chose Barrett. And then Barbaricia's ability is when she enters the field, deal 2,000 damage to all the forwards opponent controls for each job Archfiend forward you control. So I said, all right, I'm going to double damage to Barrett, and Barbaricia is going to deal 8,000 damage to all of his forwards, which he had other forwards too, which died. And because of Scarmiglione's ability, Barbaricia is going to deal 16,000 to Barrett. And they said, I don't know if that's right, because the Minwu, they call it the Minwu effect of Barrett, which is reducing damage to 0. They said that should be an 8,000, and then it goes to 0, and then another 8,000, which goes to 0. So we called the judge, and the judge came over, and it was the assistant judge, and he said, I think I know the answer, but I'm going to get the head judge to be sure. Head judge came over, and he did confirm that that is correct. Even though this says if it is dealt damage, double the damage instead as a replacement effect. He said that doesn't work in this case, and I'm not sure exactly why, but if someone does know, they can put it in the comments. But he said that, yeah, Barrett would survive this because he would be hit 8,000 twice, and both of them would not hurt him. Now, if I had realized that, I would have used Cagnazzo's effect first by removing 3 water counters and choosing a forward. It loses 8,000 power until the end of the turn. That would have put Barrett's power at 1,000, and he would have also died. So that was my mistake because I didn't realize how this worked together. I thought that this would kill Barrett. So now I'm going to set up another situation and show you what else I ran into. So this is the second situation I ran into. This is also in the title game because clearly Stern Leonis wouldn't be there if it was not. So he's playing FFBE against my title 4. And so the situation is this. So here's the field state. We've got Zemus on the field, Golbez, Hooded Man, and Stern Leonis. So on my turn, I play Theodore. And Theodore says, when Theodore enters the field, comma, you may dole 3 active Category 4 characters you control. When you do so, choose one character of cost 4 or more, break it. So I said, all right, so I'm going to dole 3 characters. He said, no, wait, I can respond to that before you dole characters. I was like, what? It says, enter the field ability. When I enter the field, I can dole 3 active characters I control. So we called the judge, and sure enough, the judge said that way this is worded is when Theodore enters the field, him entering the field can be responded to before you are able to dole the 3 active Category 4 characters. So what he wanted to do is to use Stern Leonis to do 7,000 damage to Hooded Man so that he couldn't be doled to activate Theodore's ability. So the judge said, yep, he can do that. So he used Stern Leonis' ability, killed Hooded Man, put them in the break zone, and I still had 3 active Category 4 characters, so I still was able to do this, but and kill Stern Leonis. But as someone pointed out after the game, like, why didn't you just break Golbez and search for 4 cost 2 characters to bring into the field? And I said, that probably would have been a better move. And so that was a misplay probably on my part, not realizing I could break my own guy with Theodore's ability in the title game. Like, this setup would have been really good. So another interesting effect. So the point of this is not that Stern Leonis is on the field, but the point is Theodore's ability. I don't know if you can read this. There it is. It says, when he enters the field, comma, you may duel 3 active Category 4 characters you control. And I believe the comma was the key. If there wasn't a comma there, then you would not have been able to respond before the 3 active characters were dueled. So that's just a learning point for me, and hopefully for other people who may not realize that. So I will set up another situation I ran into and give you some more learning, hopefully, or just showing my lack of education. All right, for this situation, we've got standard format. He's got Moshri on the field and Yuna on the field, both reducing the cost of summons. One for water summons, one for all summons. And they're playing against Guardians here. Typhon's not on the field yet. We got Waka with 3 counters and Oron. So, Typhon comes to the field and says, I'm going to return Moshri to your hand. So then he responds with this card, Leviathan, that is, he choose one forward, return it to its owner's hand. And because Oron is on the field, he has to be chosen by summons and abilities, so he's going to be returned to hand. And I said, okay, so I'm going to respond. I believe he had another forward on the field, and I said, I'll use Waka's ability to break that forward. So then he's like, okay. And that was the end of the stack. So we've got 3 items on the stack. We've got Typhon returning Moshri to hand. We've got the Leviathan summon, which targeted Oron to return him to hand, and then Waka targeted a different forward to break. Now, I thought that was the end of it, because Moshri can't respond because he didn't have enough summons in his break zone when the interaction started. He had 2 summons in the break zone when the interaction started, and then playing the 3rd summon, which was this guy, which doesn't seem to get in focus. There we go. Playing this 3rd summon, but he did not respond with Moshri yet after the 3rd summon was put into the break zone. So I said, okay, that's the end of the stack. Now we're going to resolve the stack down. So the stack starts to resolve. The last thing that was put on the stack was Waka breaking the forward with his 3 counters. So that happened. So we resolved the break the other forward, which I don't remember who the forward was, and it went to the break zone. And then he said, hold on, I'm going to add to the stack again. I said, what? We're resolving the stack. You can't add to the stack when it's counting down. He said, yes, you can. And I thought that was just a crazy idea, because I'd never had anyone do that to me ever. So we called the judge, and the judge said, it was the assistant judge, and he said, I think I know the answer, but I'm going to get the head judge just to be sure. So he goes and gets the head judge. Head judge comes over and says, yeah, the way it works is you add to the stack, and then you resolve the stack 1 item at a time from the top down. And after every resolution, you can add more to the stack, which was mind-boggling to me. And I got a little bit actually upset or almost angry, because that's just a stupid way to run the game. But I'm not upset at the judge. I just think the way the rule is written is just straight-ass stupid. So, but he was right. So what he did is he used now Moshri's ability to remove 3 summons from the break zone, because now he had 3 summons in the break zone after he cast that Leviathan. Then he was able to use Moshri's ability to return Waka to my hand as well. And I don't remember exactly the situation, but anyway, he got another interaction off of Moshri before she left the field, and I was like, are you kidding me? But apparently that is the way that the rules are written for this game. So you can build up the stack, and you resolve from the top down, which is pretty standard. I think everybody kind of understands that. But being able to add to the stack after something starts to resolve is new to me. So I just wanted to throw that out there in case it was new to someone else as well. I'll throw another situation down for you. All right, next situation is pretty simple, but I wanted to show you what happened in this situation. Auron's on the field. What my opponent had doesn't matter because it's a summon-related thing. Auron must be chosen by summons and abilities. So my opponent plays this card. It's an Odin from Opus 9 that says, choose one forward of cost 2 or less, break it, draw one card. So I said, okay, I'm going to respond. I'm going to play the Chocobo summon, which says, choose one forward you control, return it to its owner's hand, draw one card. So, this Odin is in play. I stack on the Chocobo, and I say, okay, I'm going to return Auron to my hand. There was no other things on the stack. I'm going to return Auron to my hand and draw a card. But you don't get to draw because your target is gone, and so the whole effect fizzles. And they said, no, I still get to draw my card. And so we called the judge. And the judge said that because when the summon was played, there was a valid target on the field. And there's a period after break it. Like, it's not a comma. It's not related to the first effect. There's a period after. That they still get to draw a card. So we both drew a card from our summons, respectively, in this case. Give you another situation. All right, this one is a little bit funny because this is just me not reading a card correctly. So it's not really a ruling, but I wanted to show you this card and make sure everybody understands how to play it properly. So Kadaj, it's from the starter set, Cloud versus Sephiroth. And on this, at the very bottom, it says at the end of each of your turns, you may remove Kadaj from the game. If you do so, at the end of your opponent's turn, play Kadaj onto the field. Now, what I thought this card meant was when he left the field, he would come back at the beginning of your turn, and he couldn't attack, and that was the downside of removing him from the game. And then you would choose an effect at the beginning of your turn, like give you guys 2,000 and Brave, stuff like that. Wrong. Reading the card again, and someone pointed this out when he played it against me, said, oh no, it's at the end of your turn, your opponent's turn, play Kadaj to the field. So this is an end of turn effect, meaning one, it can't be responded to, and two, you choose the effect at the end of your opponent's turn, so you wouldn't really make any benefit out of giving 2,000 power and Brave to your forwards. That would only work when the turn you played it to the field. So, almost always, you're going to choose to dull a forward as an option here, or remove something from the break zone. Because he comes back to the field at the end of your opponent's turn, and he can attack during your turn every turn, which is awesome and makes this card way more powerful than I thought it was. I was kind of sour on this card, thinking it kind of sucked because every turn he couldn't attack if he used his effect, but he can, and he is way more powerful than I thought he was originally. So, Cloud vs. Sephiroth starter has some pretty good cards in it, actually, and this is one of them.